What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. We appreciate you all joining us for this episode. Got a good one for you all tonight. As you can see, if you're watching us on the live stream, got us a guest again. Mr. Chad Rush is joining us tonight. Mason, hopefully will join on throughout the episode, may or may not. But yeah, just a little kind of looking ahead here, what we're going to cover tonight. We got BSM from the stands. We're going to cover a little bit of Mark Pope and the pressure he possibly could or could not have compared to Calipari. We've not talked a little bit about that. We've kind of laid off of that for a little while, which is a perfect segment for Chad to come in for that discussion. We also are going to touch on a little bit about high school athletes transferring, talking a little bit about that. Then we're going to get into the Knicks championship run that they have had. And then we may close it out if we have time with something else. But first off, want to always tell you all to go ahead and push that subscribe button on YouTube if you all are listening from there. If you're listening from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please follow us and our Facebook and Instagram and X. So, fellas, we are going to kick off tonight from BSM from the stands. For those who are listening, maybe you may be new to this, just a little quick reminder on what BSM from the stands is. First off, BSM is Bluegrass State of Mind. We just usually pick a comment on a reel or on an episode and kind of just share our thoughts on it. Could be a hot take, could be something we want to debate. Maybe we agree on it, but tonight was actually Mason's turn. He is not with us right now, unfortunately, but Colton is going to take care of the BSM from the stands, and then we'll get started. So, Colton, I'm going to slide it over to you. Go ahead and let us know BSM from the stands.
All right, so tonight's comment is going to come from one of the episodes where right after we landed Milan, Momcilovic, whatever his name is.
There you go, Momcilovic.
Momcilovic, whatever his name is. There's someone on here that comments and says, people need to realize Pope was hired after the top 5 choices turned UK down. He is doing his job. Maybe they could get Billy Donovan if Pope doesn't work out. So, my first initial thought here is, if we really think of it that way, like there was all these top choices turned UK down, which he is correct, right? It's not like we didn't try to reach out to Hurley. It's not like we didn't try to reach out to a few of these guys, but they turned us down. And we ended up with Mark Pope. And yet I feel like we, obviously, being Kentucky, you're going to hold him to the same standard you would any coach here. And I think that you should. I mean, it's not saying that you shouldn't, but is there a little more grace for him not being our top choice, right? Like, I mean, why would he turn down the job? Of course he's going to want to turn. Like, if he came and got offered the UK job, I mean, it's not like he should have turned it down. Like, I don't blame him for taking it. But at the same time, when you get to thinking about that, you're like, well, I guess technically he wasn't like our top choice. Or should we not expect more out of him? And I guess that's kind of where I am. I mean, I guess if you sit back and think about it, yeah, he's done good in certain things, no doubt about it. He's definitely did some things. But at the same time, when you think about what the standard is, what the past success, what he had to follow, especially, which is tough. It is the same thing with DeBoer and Saban. It's the same thing in Alabama. It's different jobs like that. If you follow the type of success from the previous, there's just more of a spotlight on you, especially early. I still think he has earned the right criticism because I think people were so happy the first year. after his success. You know, they were like, oh, Sweet 16, we're back, right? Like, you know, where Sweet 16 the last few years of the Cal era was kind of like, not good enough. Sweet 16, everyone was pretty excited about with that first team that we put together. So now, is he earning the right amount of criticism? I mean, for what we've seen so far, yes. But, you know, maybe we've got a hope of coming back. But what do y'all think? What about it, Chad? What do you think about this comment? Do you think that Pope probably gets too much criticism because of that? Like, or should he, like, is he held to too high of a standard because he was one of our last choices?
I don't think we should ever change the standard of Kentucky basketball. I think this year, like, he gets he should get all the smoke, right? I think, like, it's hard to, like, attack him the way people attacked Cal late in his career, and a lot of it, that was because, like, Cal was, at the time, probably the highest paid coach in college basketball, so I think that should warrant more criticism as a coach, like, than what Pope would get. But you're not going to change the standard. Like, you may be frustrated where the program is and say it's time to move on, but you're not going to attack him the same way you would a Cal. Like, but I don't think you should ever change I mean, they should get the same guy. It's the same criticism, just more like one's going to get more directed to Cal because of the figure he made himself, right? And nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad shot at him at all.
Yeah.
It's just he was bigger than as big or bigger than the program himself, you know, to where Pope is not that. But you still are not going to be okay. Like, if it doesn't work this year, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
No, I agree. What about you, DG?
Well, first off, I want to say Bulldog coming in here with these glasses looks more sophisticated than ever. Like, I mean, I don't
listen. These are not reading glasses. These are like the blue light. Like,
I mean,
if you get a
this
headache
man
from watching that
comes up in
screen,
here,
I get a headache.
Man, I mean, looking just like he truly is a sports analyst now. You know, I think whenever you talk about that Pope wasn't our first option, before even getting into the critiquing of are we giving him grace or are we not, I think the bigger picture of why it may be a story and people that comment on that is because when you think of Kentucky, you think, you know, typically Kentucky should be able to get their first option, right? You know, and I think that is something, like, when I hear that, that's kind of the angle that I, as a fan, we're not used to, you know. But because of NIL and the landscape of college basketball, things have changed. So, you know, when looking at it, hindsight 2020, would we have loved to have probably went out and got our first option, whether it had been, you know, Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates, Dan Hurley, even Billy Donovan, like those four for sure. Is there anybody I'm missing right away that you all heard about trying to get?
Oh, yeah, Bryce Drew.
Bryce, okay.
I'm glad we didn't get Bryce Drew.
Or Scott Drew.
Right.
Scott Drew, sorry.
So when looking at that, like, I think that is the thing, like, did Kentucky settle? Well, you know, I don't think you can make that claim that we settled because, you know, from everything that I've heard, and I mean, I'm just going to be straight up, you know, this is coming straight from KSR from the times I've listened and I've heard. At this point, had Mark Pope not been our coach, then it would have been Shaka Smart. And if you would have told me that 10 years ago, you know, I know me and Colton remember, Colton, we had those discussions. Me and you both we were big on Shaka Smart, but Shaka Smart 10 years ago is drastically changed. And so when looking at it, did we settle? No, I don't think we settled. We went for our best option. We got somebody who probably wasn't going to be as high as far as the money value that, Chad, you're talking about. Somebody who we knew was going to come in and love the program, and you know, give it their all, know the standard. But as far as the grace, is it fair to give him more grace than not to because of where he was at as far as the rankings of who we want to get? No, absolutely not. You know, that's something that we have hung our hat on here at Bluegrass State of Mind. And for those who are listening, I hope would agree that, you know, when there are times for us to be critical of Mark Pope, we're going to be critical, you know, like whatever meets the eye test for that game and that week. That's what we're going to get on here and talk about. But, you know, as warranted, the past month we've got on here and I felt like we've praised Pope for answering a lot of questions. But to say, like, you know, we got to give this guy more grace or whatever the comment was, or asking that question because of where he fell at in line. No, that it's kind of like, looking at a roster spot, Chad, like, let's say that you got, you coach the middle school team, 6th grade, let's say that your starting point guard gets hurt and then your 3 guard gets hurt. Well, you're going to have to go down the line. Are you going to give more grace to those 2 guys who are going to have to come off the bench and fill those positions? No, I would hope not, just because they were like a little bit lower down on the totem pole. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to give them more grace. The expectations for them to come in and be the starting point guard and contribute. Like, it's not like they've not been there and done that. Mark Pope, we're not talking about a guy who was a high school coach who hadn't had any experience. We're talking about a guy who was in a power conference in the Big 12, coming over from BYU, who has had experience. Now, has his experience been wins and the magnitude of what John Calipari was? No, but again, that doesn't mean that we give him grace because of that. So, I mean, I just don't understand how you would give somebody grace. I mean, does that analogy make sense to you all? About
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree.
well, I mean, is there any more comments before we move on from that? I mean, I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think we're all on the same page there. I just don't think, there's a certain level to it, but there's a standard there, like Chad said, and at the end of the day, I mean, you're expected to meet it. If you want to take the job, you're expected.
I do
to
think
meet it.
it's easy to, like, if this year's a failure, I'll feel sorry for Pope because I believe he got in over his head. And I don't think that's his fault. Like, he was going to jump at that opportunity if it was presented to him.
100%.
So, like, looking at that, like, that side, like, personally on him, it's different than going out and getting a proven coach that failed, right? Because he wasn't proven.
Right.
So,
Right.
No, I agree. All right, well, let's get into a little topic here. So we've let's set this up for those listening who are avid listeners. They know that Colton is a big Cal guy. Okay. And we're not on here debating Cal versus Pope, but this is a debate and a discussion that, warrants a little bit of the pressure that, Mark Pope's going to be facing this year versus Calipari. And for the times that Chad has been on here, if the ones who are listening who don't know, Chad was not the biggest Cal lover. I think he appreciated everything he done. But just wanted to throw that out there to, give a little bit more, just a little bit more juice, I guess, for this discussion. But the question is Mark Pope already, currently, right now, is he under more pressure than Calipari ever was? Whether it be his first 5 years, the middle tenure, or at the end of his last 5 years. So to set that up, I wrote down a little something to set this up, and then I'm going to shoot it over to Chad first. So let's look at Mark Pope first. So Mark Pope currently is entering year 3. Okay, he's year 3 at Kentucky. In his first 2 seasons, he's got back-to-back double-digit losses. He's made 1 Sweet 16 and 1 round of 32 with that exit. He has no Elite Eights, no SEC tournament breakthrough runs, and we're talking about coming to a program who has been the elite, the standard, over 2,400 wins. Like we are the status quo of being like the pinnacle of college basketball, the blue blood, the best of the best. Okay, so that's kind of what Mark Pope is facing going into year 3. Now let's take a look back at John Calipari, and I do want to mention, really just the last 5 years, because if we're being honest here, that's really the only years you can really say that John Calipari was receiving pressure. I mean, up until 2020, you can just look at his record, his resume, it speaks for itself. So in 2019 and 20, Kentucky went 25-6, but there was no NCAA tournament because of COVID. That following year, in the 2021, they dropped to 9-16, which does stand as the worst modern season in program history. If you want to take that and judge that and count that, then you can. If you don't, I understand. But in 2021 and 22, they went 26-8, but were stunned by the 15 seat St. Peter's in the round of 64. The very next year in 22-23, they finished 22-12 and again failed to reach the second weekend, losing in the round of 32. And in the 2023-24, they went 23-10 and were upset by number 14 seed Oakland in the round of 64. When you zoom out, the bigger picture is where that pressure really comes from, as I mentioned. In that stretch, Kentucky had 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances that ended before the second weekend, and we suffered 2 losses to 14 seeds or worse just in that 3-year span. There were 0 Final Fours in Cal's final 9 seasons, only 1 Elite 8 appearance in the final 5+ years, and it really didn't even carry any momentum. No consistent SEC dominance where like there was those first couple of seasons. So when we talk about pressure at Kentucky, it wasn't about whether the program was competing. We were competing in the regular season. It was about that championship standard that we're talking about. The program consistently falling short in March, where realistically speaking, most Kentucky fans, that's where we will judge a lot about a coach and what they are during that time that they're with Kentucky. So, Chad, the question is, does Mark Pope, in your opinion, already have more pressure than Cal ever had? And y'all can bounce back and forth, and I'll too. You know, we don't have to fully give our whole segment. We can interrupt and, let somebody finish. But go ahead.
I feel like this upcoming season is more pressure packed than Cal ever faced because he left before his most pressure packed season. Like, I think if Cal had not have went to Arkansas, whether he was however he ended up at Arkansas, but he wasn't technically fired. Had he stayed for that next season, I think that would have been more pressure than this upcoming season because he is a Hall of Fame coach that probably had he not progressed back to what he used to be in that season, would have probably gotten fired. I don't know what happens after that season. So, but he left. I don't think he coached his most I don't think he coached under the pressure that he would have the upcoming season. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this season for Pope, I do think has more pressure than Cal ever faced. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's where I agree. I just think the reason I say that is because even with the lack of success in the last 5 or 6 years, that wasn't obviously the standard and put a lot of pressure on Cal, and people were getting frustrated with the program. The thing that Cal always that saved him, even in some of the losses, was that, hey, look at the class we have next year. Hey, it was a quick turnaround from the fan base standpoint, right? When November came, it was back to, hey, we've got a team. We're going to do this. And the issue you ran with Pope is that now, granted, maybe he's starting to trend a little bit more, but you've put together, in my opinion, the first 2 teams that just, while even that first team was fun to watch, it's full of a bunch of seniors, and I think everyone really appreciated what Pope was able to put together that year. If you look on paper, if you just look at those teams, you probably don't quite think that they were probably good enough to make it all the way. And I think that was where people started to be like, okay, this is great. I feel like we're trying hard, but I don't know that we actually have it. And then, but going into this transfer season, until we got Milan and we got this Hampton, he got his first 5-star freshman the other day.
Right.
You were just like, what do we have to look forward to next year? And that's, to me, what added even more pressure on, because we haven't made it past, but you had that to Cal one, he had the early success that gave him years, right? You go Elite 8, Final Four championship, you buy yourself 10 years.
Yep.
Pope's first 2 years, Sweet 16, 32, you can't go the other way, right?
The embarrassing blowout losses this year are what, that's what got Pope to this kind of pressure. If those games are competitive and you've battled injuries and you got beat in the second round, I don't think it would be, but those, what do we have, 4? Just
oh man, we had
absolute where you're not even competitive.
Gonzaga, Michigan State,
Gonzaga, Michigan
getting
State,
beat at North Carolina, which we was in the 5, but should have definitely won that game.
We got beat at home in North Carolina, which was a bad loss. But
Well, yeah, we should
Iowa
beat
State in the round of 32. You got absolutely
Florida, Alabama. Well, Florida, I guess we kept competitive.
Florida wasn't too bad. At Alabama wasn't great.
The one question I think that, I have, when looking at this question itself, it comes down to, okay, so like truly then, what is it that we judge as success here? Because when thinking of that, is it just in March? Because if it is, then I just don't, I could hear the argument of talking about, now I'm just basing this only on the last 5 years of like, okay, what are we talking about as far as pressure wise? I mean, you look at Cal, he couldn't get out of the round of 64 and couldn't make it to the second weekend. Pope done that his first year. Now, but then it's kind of like, so where is the pressure lingering at? Like, what pressure are we talking about? Are we talking about the season as a whole, or are we talking about just March? Because I think that is where, whenever I hear Kentucky fans, whether it be online, whether it be me talking to somebody, it's such a mixture. And I don't know if we say this just to be saying like, well, we just judge March. That's all where it comes down to. Do we really? Do we just judge March? Or is it more than that? Is it the whole entire season as a whole? Because if we're talking about as the entire season as a whole, yeah, I think that's where you get all of that pressure from Mark Pope because of what you said there, Chad. You talked about these terrible losses. But then when you start talking about just in the postseason success, just in March, taking out the SEC tournament, Pope has been there and he's matched Cal in comparison to his last 5 years. Now, obviously there's a lot of different directions you can go with that, but we're solely just doing this on the purpose of the pressure that Cal received in his last 5 years, because that's really all that was warranted for him.
So I've used this analogy, and I don't know if I'm sure I've used it with Colton because I've said it a lot. But so if you replaced a CEO of a company, and the 5 previous years they failed, right? They didn't make any money, even though 15 years ago and historically they've been of like a great company, but for 5 straight years they failed, and they weren't breaking even. And you came in, and in 1 year you turned a profit, right? And the next year you did a little better at the end of like your year-end results were a little better than the previous 5, but they weren't that much better. You, as the new CEO, would be like, I improved. Like, I did better. So personally, you wouldn't think you'd feel that kind of pressure. But then when but I'm doing this for a company that's historically been like one of the best companies in the world, right? So like, where are you measuring? Are you measuring it over, like, to me, the first couple of years was like, can he progress, right? But now it's now you've got to get us back to where we were, because that's what we hired you for. We didn't hire you to improve only off the previous 5 years. Now you got to take us back to where we were, or we're not okay with 26 and or what was like 26-10 losing in the second round, or like that's not okay. That's not what you know what I'm saying. So it's like you have to measure year over year for a couple of years, but at some point you're hired to get us to Final Fours and win national championships, not to get us to Sweet 16s. And so that's where I think it's the mixture that you're saying is you're not okay either with terrible season. I mean, you're not okay with losing, period. But if you're competitive all year and you get knocked off in a Sweet 16 as a 3 seed, that's different to me than being competitive all year and losing in the first round. Mm-hmm. Or if you go in as a 10 seed and you make a big run to an Elite 8 or a Final Four, to me that's better than going 28 and 8 and losing the second round. Like I'd rather go in as a 10 seed and make a run. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And to answer the question for me, yes, I agree with what you all said, that Mark Pope is, I think, he's going to face more pressure than Cal ever did. And I like the point that you brought up, Chad, about, that next season, had Calaveras been here, oh, absolutely, that would have been his most pressured season. You get beat to St. Peter's, pressure's there. Yeah. You get beat then to Oakland, okay, the seat's on fire. And then you get out, however it was, that was the season that was going to be okay. Like all eyes.
Do or die.
Yeah, you got to go in. Colton, was you about to say something?
Yeah, I think when you talk about is it a whole season thing or is it a March that we kind of judged up? To me, it's about roster construction. Because here's the thing: you take the Harrison twins first year as an 8th seed, right? I think when everyone watched that team, and when they played on the road, like they were freshmen, we didn't do well on the road that year in the SEC. But when we were at home or neutral court games, they looked like a championship type team. Like you saw the roster, you saw the talent, you saw like this team can make a run. So when I think, like I remember, and I'm not just because I was a Kentucky fan, but I remember filling out my bracket and being like, when we drew Wichita, like I had us going to the championship, right? And it's because like I looked at that roster and I was like, we're on a neutral court the rest of the tournament, knowing that we're going to have more fans there than anyone. I think this team is good enough to make a run to the championship. So in that case, I judge it off of March, right? I still judge it off of March. But when you put together a roster out there that you don't think is good enough to win it, you're seeing everything, right? Because and that's what we watched all season. We saw these blowout losses. We didn't talk about Louisville, right? One of your biggest rivals. I think we finally ended up losing by like 8.
Yeah.
But we were down big for most of that game.
Mm.
And you had these bad losses. And so then you were kind of like, okay, listen, like you have to make it up for it in the tournament because if not, all those are going to compile together, right? If you have a magical run or because now this team, you're kind of like, okay, it's going to show itself in the tournament that you didn't have a good enough team. Like we were not better than Iowa State by a long shot. And that's hard to see as Kentucky fans is that you throw a roster out. I know granted injuries, all those things, obviously you can talk about those things, but that's where I'm kind of like with roster. If you put together a roster out there that you're like the Dillingham, Shepherd, that's what makes it so hard in March because at their best,
right,
we were good enough to probably win the national championship. At our best this year, were we good enough to win the national championship? I don't think so. That's my personal opinion, but that's kind of why I think
that's so. And Cole knows I've always disagreed with him on the what if, but I will say this year it was absolutely miserable going into some of those games. They like hoping to lose by less than double digits. Like you didn't, and that can't be okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good debate, good question to discuss. But hey, let's move on to our next little segment here. So I thought this was, a good little, not random topic, but just something different. Looking at, the landscape of college basketball, how that has impacted high school sports. So the topic we're going to discuss is, should high school kids be able to transfer? And just talking about, our opinions on that, feelings of such nature. Now, keep in mind, you're talking about 3 guys tonight who are from a rural area, single A in Kentucky school. So yeah, our perspective and our opinions may look a little different than, some schools that are your big time 5A schools in Kentucky and other states across America. But I think the first question that we got to discuss here is, why do kids move? Like, why are they moving in general? And I think there's a couple of reasons here. And if I miss any that I don't mention that come to your mind, tell me. So the first one, is just family. You're going to move because of a family issue or just deciding, hey, we're going to move.
Parents take a different job.
Parents take a different job. Yeah. But it's a family concern. The next one, looking at why they may transfer is a coaching change. Okay. Different coach. Another one is playing time. You ain't getting the time that you want. And then the last one that I come up with is, better exposure, team success. You're going to go somewhere that has better success ultimately. Is there any more that I'm missing that you can think of right away, other than a family matter, a coaching change, your playing time's not where you want it to be, or a better team that you're wanting to move to, or for your own sake, exposure?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's pretty much high school.
So my next question following up to that then is, Chad, in your opinion, or Colton, whichever one, how did we get here? How in the world did we get in high school sports in small towns where you have kids moving because of these reasons, other than the fact of family? I think that we can all get on here and agree that if you have a family matter where you have a parent who has got a new job, that was a good one. You're understandable. You have something happen, an illness or a death in the family where you have got to be rehomed and go live with
Right.
like totally understand that. 100% that is warranted. But when we talk about coaching changes, playing time, and better teams and exposure, how did we get here?
I mean, yeah.
You want to go?
I mean, well, my first thought is, I mean, obviously, I'm actually not. I would be 100% the playing time, like all that stuff. That's insane. the transfers that you hear and stuff like that. Exposure, I think it depends on what level, right? If you actually have someone that is going to, I'll just be honest with you, a D1 type basketball player is probably going to get looked at different at a prep school than he is in Monroe County.
Yeah,
I think so.
I don't look at like the prep schools as the transfers.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
Because
that's where
I don't either. And the reason why I say is because if you take, okay, look, Coach, let's take it back to whenever my senior year. My senior year when we played, I don't even remember who it was in the Class 8 state championship. Covington Catholic, is that who it was? Anyways, they were
Newport.
a private, Newport
Yeah.
Central. They were a private school. They were already recruiting. Like that's been happening. But now we've got into public schools. And that's where my issue really, really takes.
you got
takes
public schools and you've got kids that they're not really D1 you're not talking, some are D1, but you're talking about just kids going to make teams better. I think it starts, they're seeing it in college basketball, right? So
Yeah.
they're changing
Bingo.
nonstop. So it starts there. But I also see it because we started playing a little bit of travel stuff, it starts in travel ball too, because you get these kids now, and they did it before, but now they're playing like every weekend together from different places. And then, okay, year starts, I don't like my coach, whatever the case may be, I can go 45 minutes and play with these three guys that were buddies all summer. It's an easy transition. And that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, and this whole conversation was, I picked this topic because I had seen something, a little quote here, and I want to say it to you all. But, before I say that though, Chad, you're quite a bit older than us. I mean,
Throw it out there.
but you played for the Monroe County Falcons. When you ran out on that court, wearing Monroe County, wearing Falcons, wearing that navy blue, gray, white, that meant something, and whatever the school was that you played in high school, like, that meant more than a lot of things that is happening right now. And the quote that leads me to that is that it says, if everyone can transfer whenever they want, high school sports really stops being about schools and community and starts being about just assembling rosters.
Right.
Yeah.
And I read that and I was like, yeah, I mean, 100%. That's exactly right. Because, you have kids who are growing up playing with, just take me and Colton, for example. Let's say me and Colton grew up playing together since we were 4 years old. And then all of a sudden, I'm not getting the playing time that I want. I'm just going to hop over and drive 30 minutes, and I'm going to be able to go transfer to another school. I just think that is, now granted, like I said, for the wrong, I mentioned about playing time. I just think that that's really the foundation, teaching so much of, not that hard work, not being able to, and not even just hard work, everybody's not going to have the same role, You're not going to be everybody's. Take the Knicks. I watched a little interview of Josh Hurt. Josh Hurt was saying, like, yeah, I mean, does it hurt not being that guy, not being the one who is always going to be scoring and being the man? Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't be successful in the role that you're playing. And I don't know. I could go on a tantrum right now, but I'm going to give it to you all.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's gotten out of hand 100%. I mean, there's probably a few exceptions. Chad was on point when he talked about like the travel ball stuff, because I mean, I played the American Legion baseball, like, because, going to play college baseball was like the main goal throughout most of high school until I picked up golf later in high school and decided to go that route. But I played, and guys that I played on from freshman through junior year, like we had like Adair County and Russell County, right? They're close by. A couple of those guys that played for Russell County or Adair County was a better baseball program. They left Adair County and went and played with those guys from Russell County my last couple of years. Like, they left for a better baseball program. Now, I don't know if that, I mean, how, in my mind, that's not right in a lot of ways, but I will say this, and nothing against, like, I loved Coach Taylor and I would never like want to leave Monroe for anything. But I will say, like, at the time I was trying to go play college baseball, like that was by far my best, like that was the goal. And I remember like going through the American Legion stuff, like all these kids from other programs, like they had all these stats online, like the max prep stuff, all this stuff that was recorded. Like they had all these things that these recruits were, like these colleges were able to look at. And we weren't even putting anything on max prep. Like we weren't doing anything. Like I couldn't go and put my name in online and find anything. And like I had good stats. I had all this stuff that would be pretty impressive to some college, but like there was nothing being put in on Arian. And that's like I said, that's not necessarily a knock, but in my case, if I had wanted to have a better exposure to maybe getting more recruited more, I probably would have been better off going to a surrounding county school. And I wouldn't have never wanted to do that because how much I love Monroe. But I can see in that case, like I had to do my own recruiting in that instance because it just wasn't happening. And I don't feel like that's necessarily the case at some, just even as the surrounding schools.
Is baseball classed, or is it like basketball?
No, it's no, state tournaments against everyone.
See, I think the state, and I know it goes on everywhere, but the state of Kentucky could, if they would ever go to classes like other places,
like
because
Tennessee.
if you're a really good player here, and just use basketball for example, say, and I personally would never do this, but you can understand why kids would now. But say you play all summer and you've got 2 kids from here, 2 kids from Metcalf, 1 kid from, say, Cumberland that are all really good. And they're like, hey, we can all play at Metcalf. Like, we can get there pretty easy and we can compete with Bowling Green then. We have a chance to go, like, we have a chance to play at Rupp. It would be hard if you knew you had, but if you're all separate, you're going to do good. If you win a game in the region, you're happy because it's unfair when you're the small schools like us to try to go compete. You're just never going to do it. Like you're never going to be deep enough to do it.
Yeah.
Not saying that I would agree with that, but I could.
But that is a good point. Yeah, that's another kind of point like I was making. Like there are little exceptions like that. Like I could see why someone would want to do that. You're right. If you have these ambitions of going to the state,
I just think there should be college, high school, all the way around. Like if you want to transfer one time, whatever the case may be, and then if you do it again, you have to sit out.
Yeah. But I guess though, to just playing devil's advocate here, though, it goes back to that statement that I made, is that if we start allowing the transfers, then it goes to exactly the point that you just made, Chad, which is not saying that it's not valid, because that's thoughts that, these players are having when, especially playing travel ball, AAU ball, whatever it is that you're, playing, I guess, for the best of the best, or however it is, when looking at, though, it gets to, okay, who can just build the best rosters rather than high school being about, the community and the schools? Like, what was the foundation? Like, why was high school sports? And I know that you agree with that. I'm just, for those who may be thinking, oh, I agree with that. But like, what was the point of high school sports in general? Like, it was for you to represent your high school, your community, who you grew up with. It wasn't about, okay, let's go make the best roster consistent of surrounding counties just so we can go compete. Now, does that, you have to shape your mindset around that now, because of what all has transpired, what's going on, the way that, it's set up in Kentucky specifically, that no matter how big your school is, you're going to compete against the biggest schools will always have to, or the smallest schools will always have to go through the biggest schools to win a state championship. Like, that's just how it is. And I know that a lot of people, and I got on a little bit of a tantrum of talking a little bit about it, talking about hard work. I just, the playing time and the coaching change, I guess I can be more lenient with the better team exposure. I get that a little bit more, but when talking about playing time and coaching change, that's where I really go south. And I'm like, okay, maybe we need to look ourselves in the mirror. Maybe we need to really look at it and see, okay, like, are we not getting playing time because we're just not that good? Or are we not getting playing time because, there's a personal vendetta against this player, like they just can't stand you,
But anymore, from the stuff I've heard, and I don't keep up with this enough to say a whole lot, but it's
Well,
the coaching change is more kids following coaches than it is leaving because of the new coach. They'll go with their old coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I can see, I don't know, I can see reasons it would be done. I don't ever want to get away from the good old fashioned, like, represent your community and go play a ball. Like, there's nothing better than a good high school game when the gym's full.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And, I think it's a discussion that is going to even be amped up even more in the next coming years. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if at some point we get to the point where high school athletes are getting paid.
They are.
They can.
They can.
No, I'm talking about,
I know around. Well, I don't know if it would ever happen around here. Like,
yeah,
that would
I know they are.
Bowling Green, maybe. Yeah, fourth region type teams could possibly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's get into the national champions, the world champions themselves, the New York Knicks. Go New York, go New York, go! Hey, I do have to make my wife, if she's listening, she's going to find out now. And I told you all last episode, I did order a Knicks shirt. I have personally made a decision. I didn't order. Let me explain. I did not order a national championship shirt because I wasn't part of this 53-year drought of being a fan, or I'm only 20, a 29-year. I wasn't part of that. When looking at the New York Knicks, this is the first Knicks championship since 1973. It ended their 53-year title drought. It's the first Knicks finals appearance since 1999. They ended up winning the series 4-1 over the Spurs. Something interesting for, I'm sure you all have seen this. If you haven't, this will blow your mind if you did keep up with the series at all. The San Antonio Spurs led for approximately 153 minutes, about 72% of the actual time, compared to the Knicks just 35 minutes, despite the Spurs still losing 4-1. I mean, where do you go with this, guys? I mean, is this a case where it was just inexperience that you seen from the Spurs? Was it complete choke jobs from the Spurs? Was it, looking at closers? Did the Knicks just have a better closer in Jalen Brunson than Victor Wembanyama? I mean, like, what, how do you lead 153 minutes of the series, 72%, and lose 4-1? Colton, what are your thoughts on the overall series itself?
Well, I mean, it's one, like I said, I keep reiterating, it's the best thing that could have happened for the NBA, with the Knicks and Spurs in the finals and the Knicks winning, that type of historical program for the NBA, giving what the ratings and everything kind of been in the NBA the last 5 or 6 years. Like, that was the best thing that could have happened. So that's good for the NBA and good for the Knicks, first off. As far as the series goes, I mean, you see Wemby's comment where you talked about we dominated. Like he made that comment after they lost. Like, he said, we dominated this series. And when you read off those numbers, I mean, it kind of sounds like they did. They just didn't have the closer. I think the biggest thing watching the Spurs is the one thing. Obviously, Wemby's 7'5", but he's not the one that's going to be bringing the ball up the court all the time. He's not the one that can create the play once half court gets there. And they didn't have another guy.
He's
that
not
could do
the
that. I do
closer
think
that
Dylan
Jalen Brunson
Harper
is.
will eventually be that guy. Like, I think Dylan Harper's got a chance to be a type of guy like that for him. But with Fox struggling the way he did, I mean, he really struggled, which it was hard to watch being obviously us in Kentucky fan. But Fox did have a tough series.
You brought up Dylan Harper, and I want to ask you all this too. I think that there's some things so when looking at Dylan Harper, my first thought, and we've even talked about this before, Colton, is how in the world did the Rutgers have Dylan Harper and
Ace
Bailey and not make the NCAA tournament? I mean, like, what in the world? And then my second thing is when looking at the sixth man of the year, what a complete, I guess, just misguidance in Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson won the sixth man of the year, fellas. He was the sixth man of the year in the NBA. Did we even see him really? I mean, like, he wasn't even their sixth man. Dylan Harper was the sixth man. What? I mean, like, what in the world?
Yeah, I was so lost on Keldon Johnson. I don't have a clue how that happened. I mean, he was barely in there, right? He'd take a few shots, and don't get me wrong, he didn't play great either. Like, the few shots he was getting, he wasn't converting. He came in and got some early fouls early on, so he wasn't taking advantage of the first couple minutes he got in each time, and I think they kind of felt like his rhythm that he got in there kind of threw off, where Dylan Harper came in and dominated.
I don't know. I don't watch enough NBA like regulars. I did watch the finals, but the Champagny.
Oh yeah.
Is he always, or is he just like, I feel like he was just playing that good, so he was getting Keldon Johnson's minutes. No,
he's been a starter. No, Champagny. He's been a starter all year. He plays his role very well.
Right. Yeah, but I will say,
it's Champagny, Fox, Wembanyama, Castle, and
Vassell maybe.
Vassell. And then Keldon Johnson, the sixth man with Dylan Harper. But a big thing that they said, I don't know if you've seen, I think it was Vassell in his post comments that they are talking about that Dylan Harper was pretty upset about how they kind of mismanaged his minutes throughout the season. And, that even Vassell went on record to say that, like, hey, he proved himself, like, yeah, maybe we did mismanage, like, how we were playing him throughout the regular season because he was not happy. And when you looked at, especially throughout this series itself, Dylan Harper was I mean, like, he could be a star in this league.
He's going to be. I think they will. I think he will be the guy that will be that go-to guy eventually. I don't know that he was quite there yet, and he's not the most true point guard, which kind of is important. And it's not like he's like the really like the great 3-point shooter either. But I also think, I mean, coaching, is this his first or second year coaching the?
This is second.
Okay, because I was going to say, and look, it was his first time being in that type of moment too. Because I thought there at the end of the game, like the Champagny or whatever his name is, went 4 for 8 from 3, and they needed a 3 to tie. At one point they were trying to get it in, they were down 3, and like he's not even in the game. Like, and he was 4 for 8 in the game, and I'm thinking, like, what's going on right here?
Yeah,
like Fox hasn't hit a shot in 3 games, and he's out there, and you've got Champagny and.
Well, and you also looked at the game last night, Stephon Castle. He only had like 4 or 6 points. I mean, he did have that put back dunk, but I mean, but he was one of those players though that I felt like did need to be his defense, and he was controlling the game. Chad, what was you about to say?
I wonder if they'll. Like, I could see him overreacting and like trying to package Cass on Fox for some experience that can provide experience. Because they've got the talent. I mean, they clear in I've talked to John Michael Pollan a million times about which he's a huge Spurs fan, and I was just like,
shout out,
don't use experience. Don't use experience as an excuse. But like, it clearly is what beat them.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
I'm not like, but I don't know. I don't know that Castle's like, I almost see Castle being like a Marcus Smart. I don't think he's
He's not.
I don't think he's that good.
He's not a
I don't think he's gonna get
scorer
much
like he
better.
needs to be at
Yeah,
I don't
that
think
level.
he's not as aggressive as he
Yeah.
needs to be on the offensive end.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get much better.
Yeah. I think what
Yeah.
it came down to this series, honestly, though, and then we'll move on, is, just the closing aspect of it. Colton, you mentioned a little bit on your comments, Victor Wembanyama, he's not a ball dominant player yet.
Right.
When you look at a big in Nikola Jokic, he doesn't dribble the time up, but he has the ball in his hands and he creates, or he is creating for himself.
Right.
Victor Wembanyama has got to find a way to do that, to be a closer. They didn't get him the ball enough for him, because I just don't know if he's capable to that yet. And it was crystal clear who the Knicks were going to give the ball to close, and it was Jalen Brunson. But
Yeah.
let's move on to something else, though. Talking about New York City, Chad, we got to talk about it. New York City has practically burned. They had 63 total arrests reported across New York City. Charges including assault, police officers getting assaulted, criminal possession of weapons. They had one confirmed shooting. They also had stabbing incidents. There was 4 stabbing incidents. You had police vehicle damage. Multiple vehicles were damaged during the arrest. There was 5 buses that were burned. I know it's kind of crazy, but my question for you is, like, what's the point of all that? I mean, I'm totally down for celebrating, but, like, could you imagine, Chad, being in New York and you're at night and you're watching the game, you fell asleep, waking up the next morning, and then you come out
in it. It's just
but your personal car is completely. I mean, I was seeing videos of this and it was insane. I'm like, I just couldn't imagine being just a regular patron walking out my, ready to go to church Sunday morning, and you see your whole car.
We did it. I mean, we didn't do it. I didn't do it personally, but Kentucky fans did it. We were burning couches, cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
I ran down the State Street.
We don't have, like, in
ball.
Lexington. I mean, there's not. I don't know how. There's not as many people, but I mean, everybody else. They just have. There's so many people in New York, you can't control it. Like, you can kind of guide them all one way in Lexington, but you can't in New York. I
agree.
Can't.
It's insane. Colton, is Jalen Brunson the greatest Knick of all time now? I think there's 3 that are going to be debated, and I've got some stuff for you here. You got Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier is a 2-time NBA champion. He was an elite 2-way guard, all defensive first team 7 times. One of the greatest final performances ever in the 1970 game 7. Now, while being a 2-time NBA championship, however, though, and I just had to find this stuff because that was before me. Apparently, Willis Reed was the Finals MVP, a teammate of him, for both the 1970 and 73 titles. So Frazier didn't even win the Finals MVP, and Reed also claimed the 1970 regular season MVP. Okay, now you're talking about the next one, Patrick Ewing, 11-time All-Star, franchise leader in points, rebounds, blocks, and games. He had 2 finals appearances, but couldn't get over the hump. So he's kind of the king of the books. And then Walt Frazier has the most championships. However, though, he didn't even win finals MVP in both of them, then had a guy who was carrying him during the regular season. Then you look at Jalen Brunson, who ended the 53-year drought. He's the finals MVP. He was averaging like 27 points per game in the NBA Finals. I mean, the man was arguably put on one of the greatest performances in a championship seal game ever. He recorded 45 points, which tied Michael Jordan for the most points ever scored on the road in the NBA Finals clinching game. So, like, when looking at those 3 players, where your thoughts go to on who the greatest Knick is?
I mean, I will say that Brunson's probably going to put himself in the debate maybe over a next season or 2, but I don't think that you can put him up there as the greatest yet. And he's been here 4 years.
So who would be your greatest then?
I would probably go Patrick Ewing.
Whoa. You got to tell me why.
What do you mean? I mean, to me, okay, I'll say this.
Okay, well, let me
hold on. Let me ask you this. Let me just ask this. If Steph Curry had not won 2 more championships, but was still with the Warriors the entire time. He won the 2 that he did with KD. Would KD be the greatest Warrior of all time, or would Steph be the greatest Warrior of all time? I mean, they would have had the same championship, but although KD was only there 3 years, you couldn't like debate it. But Steph would have been there for the long haul. Like, what would have made any difference? And that's where I'm at on Brunson. You give me 6 more years of Brunson, maybe not even that, 4 more years, 3 more years of Brunson, and I think you have a debate there. But this is his 4th season, and I'll say this: I don't know that. Like, I will say if he don't have that last game, I feel like personally OG is the MVP of that series. Like, I just do. Like, I think he's the MVP of the series for what he done overall. He was guarding Wemby half the time. Like, I think that he had a debate for being the MVP of that series.
For impact prop, maybe, but I mean, Jalen Brown, he averaged 32.6 points per game.
No, yeah, I get the points, but still, like, you talk about turnovers and assists and everything else and who you guarded, right? Like, I mean,
yeah, no, I get that argument, but here's where I'm coming from on this. And Chad, this is directed towards you and Colton too. I mean, you can comment on it. Is, when thinking, okay, if you're going to say Patrick Ewing, then my thought process,
I know where you're going.
Well, if Patrick Ewing is your GOAT, or not GOAT, but your best of all time, he's the stat leaders and everything, but he doesn't have the most championships. Sounds very familiar to a LeBron, Michael Jordan thing. Like, that don't make sense to me. Like, are we going to do championships over stats, or are we going to do the greatest of all time? It just don't make sense to me.
There's a big difference in 4 and 15 years, though. I told you, give Brunson 6 or 7 as a Knick, but I mean.
But how are you going to measure it just on years, though, Colton? I mean,
you're talking about Knick. You're talking about a true Knick. Like, you're not talking about. That's why they say New Yorker.
Yeah,
you got to be a New Yorker.
I get that argument. I'm not from New York, so like but for the Knicks outside lens, we're talking about from an outside lens. I think you had Jalen Brunson. I mean, like, he literally packed his team to an NBA championship. Not to mention that this was a time when there's 30 teams in the NBA. Looking at who he went through, the way he done.
I would also argue they did not have to play the best team probably in the NBA, or a couple of them.
You can't fault him at that, though.
No, I don't. But you want to say, you can't sit there and say who they had to go through, because they didn't have to go through. I don't know.
I haven't kept. I mean, I'm not a Knick historian, so
I'm not. I'm just knowing some facts on what, or I'm just saying what I've gathered.
Is it Frazier or Willis Reed, the one that was hurt or faked an injury, or you've heard that story, right? No,
I'm not sure.
No.
Wow. So in one of those finals games, he limped. He basically went in the locker room on crutches, and then came back out, won the game. So I think if you ask true Knicks fans, they're going to say one of those guys in the 70s. Probably not going to say Patrick Ewing, because he never got the job done. Like, I don't think you're having this conversation about Brunson if Ewing if they'd have won a finals 20 years ago or 25 years ago. It's because of the time gap.
No, I agree.
I do think that Brunson's performance should go down. That game should go down as one of the best games ever. I mean, best performances ever in a closeout game.
Yeah.
And I think that Brunson, I think he'll be more. I don't know that you can put him as the Knicks' greatest player yet, but he's going to go as that New York folk now. You know what I'm saying?
Favorite. Yeah.
They're going to put him up there with Jeter, and you're going to listen with people like that just because he did something that they've wanted for so long.
Right.
Yeah. But how you can, I'm with Dylan on that. I don't think after 4 years you can say he's the best Knick. Or no, you said you should.
I'm saying you should.
I would say one of the bigger guys in the 70s. I don't never seen him play. I know
obviously, though, we're all taking this as not New York Knicks fans. So, we would have to maybe get a perspective of someone else, which I don't know a ton of Knicks fans.
There's a lot out there.
Oh, there is. No, absolutely. But it is a conversation that I guarantee you tomorrow you turn on, or today, First Take, Get Up. It's going to be had now, so I was just wanting to have that. All right. Well, our last segment, we do have time. I want to do a little blind ranking with Chad and Colton. We've done this a little bit before. This will be the last thing we'll do. The previous blind ranking that we've done was who you could beat up in a fist fight of golfers. Okay. This time we are going to do a fist fight of a blind ranking of could be current. I've got current or a retired college basketball coaches. Okay. You all have to do a blind ranking. Okay. So between the two of you, all have to decide. One being you do not like they are going to beat you up. 10 being okay. Yeah, that's the worst.
Okay.
We got that. All right,
Okay.
so blind ranking, you got 10 coaches. Here we go. Your first coach is going to be Mr. Mark Pope himself.
I mean, he's tall.
He's a big dude.
I mean, he's a big
he's
dude.
too tall.
My
3?
Chad's got a chance to reach him, but
No,
I
he's
ain't
like
got
6.
He's.
Like,
I mean,
he's at least got to be like 3.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But
3's
yeah.
being we can't, right?
Yeah.
Like
3
3.
he'd be the toughest to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably.
You mean
let's
you're
say
talking about the
3.
coach who everything's beautiful? Like it's just beautiful, man.
I don't care. He's huge.
Sick. He's what?
Did you see him? He put Kelsey in a headlock.
Yeah.
That's how I do you, Chad. Put you in a little headlock, give me a little knuckle sandwich on top of the head. All right, I mean I respect it. Okay, props to Mark Pope. All right, your next one, Bruce Pearl.
I mean, at the moment, but back, I don't know. He's kind of one
I mean,
of those.
like you know what Tennessee Vols, Bruce Pearl.
Yeah.
Let's go. All these guys prime
In their prime.
Yeah, the one like.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of
who?
Yeah, he's probably put. Yeah, I agree. He's
Okay,
one.
yeah.
It wouldn't take
He's
much for him to get mad.
You ever used to take his shirt off? Just yeah, I don't
At
have
the
that.
football game, he took it off. Yeah.
At 60 years old, yeah, the heck of that no.
I agree. I am not messing with Bruce Pearl. This is not my ranking, but the guy is fiery. He hits you as that Southern, like, okay, you just don't mess with that guy. He's like Southern strong, you know, like Bulldog. I mean, you don't look at Coach and you think Southern strong.
You ain't messing. Let me take these glasses off and you know.
All right, your next one's going to be Todd Golden.
We're putting him like 7 or 8. I want to fight that guy.
Yeah.
We want to take Golden.
7.
All right, so you got Mark Pope at 3, Bruce Pearl 2, Todd Golden at 7. Next one, Dan Hurley.
I think he's all mouth.
I agree. I think he likes to act bigger than what he actually.
I don't know, fellas. This man gave a referee a headbutt in the Final Four. He may. I'm not putting it. I'm just giving you a little.
You want 6 or 8?
Let's go 6, just because he might be just 6. Crazy enough to do something stupid.
So are we.
You got 3, 2, 7, and 6. All right, your next one, Nolan Richardson.
Oh, I knew there was going to be a good one. He's probably my number 1. I've ever told you the story about Nolan Richardson?
No.
So we were at the SEC tournament. I was young, like I was with my grandma, and we saw him in the lobby. And she was like, "You need to go get his autograph." I was like, probably 6. I might have been Dawson's age.
Yeah.
And I looked at her, I was like, that man is scary. I'm not going over there. And I've got a Kentucky shirt on. I'm not doing it. Well, anyways, we got him. I think she went with me. We got it. He was a really nice guy, actually. But he's a scary man.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd mess with Nolan Richardson.
The only thing is I'm worried. The only coach I can really think about going number 1 would be the Iowa State guy. The Hasenworth. I mean, he's ripping out of his shirt.
Could be wearing
I
just
would
a
put Nolan Richardson. So what would that leave us the next highest? 4?
Yeah, you would have 4 left.
We're going to have to put Nolan Richardson can't be below Pope. He's going to eat Pope's face.
All right, we're going to go 1. But if we got to fight the Iowa State guy, you're going first.
All right, your next one, Bob Huggins.
Yeah, I ain't worried about Huggy. He can't move. He's too slow.
He'll bring a stool with him.
Like, oh no, I know what we did wrong.
All right, so where are you putting Bob Huggins? Because you've used 1, 2, 3, 7, and 6.
He's gonna have Bob Knight on there too. Which,
I mean, if he don't have a chair to throw, he might be. He might not be that bad.
So Huggins,
let's go 8.
Yeah,
let's go 8.
Okay, your next one, John Calipari.
10.
That's how Treg was with Cantley. The moment Dylan said Cantley, he said 10. I want that. I'm taking him all day long. 10.
Did you not see his eyes when John Chaney went after him?
I don't know. Thing about Cal is he probably couldn't fight you, but then he called it the mafia and like you're done.
Well, that's all right.
All right. So
What do you want? Colton probably won't want 10 on him. You want 9 or 10?
Let's go 9 in case he. Let's
Nine.
go 9 in case he lists like some small dude.
okay, so you got John Calipari at 9. All right, so here's your update so far. You have at 1 Nolan Richardson, 2 Bruce Pearl, 3 Mark Pope. You still have 4 available, 5 available. Then 6 you have Dan Hurley, 7 Todd Golden, Bob Huggins at 8, John Calipari at 9. Okay. Your
Okay.
next one, Buzz Williams.
He's little.
Military man, Chad.
That's true. We go 5.
Oh, yeah.
We go 5. 4 or 5.
Okay.
5. Let's go 5 in case he lists
5, that's fine.
Awesome or whatever his name is from Iowa State. Hey, that's the guy. That's the guy I'm not taking.
All right.
5.
Your next one, Mr. Patrick Ewing.
Oh God.
When did he coach? Oh, he coached Georgetown.
He coached Georgetown, didn't he? Mm-hmm. He's definitely going 4.
He's
We're
got to
just,
go
we're just
4.
gonna have to get whooped by the guy at 10. I hope the guy at 10 don't listen to this if it's
We
him.
got Pope in front of Ewing. Wow.
I know it. Yeah.
Chad's going to put Colton right in front of him and say, here you go, Bulldog. Have at it. All right, your last one, and you have the 10 spot available, Mr. Pat Kelsey.
Oh yeah. All right. Perfect. Perfect list.
It was pretty good, except for
Perfect
Ewing.
list except Ewing over Pope. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Ewing.
honestly, I like your list other than Buzz Williams and Patrick Ewing. I don't think I would want to mess with Buzz Williams. I would put him over Mark Pope. I know Mark
You could
Pope's
have moved Pope
6'10".
to 5 and then moved the other 2 up. And you'd have been pretty close.
But the Patrick
For
Ewing
me.
at 4, realistically, where would you put? Who would be your one now?
Probably Ewing.
Probably Ewing.
I mean, you're talking about 7. He's a 7 feet. But, I mean, yeah.
You're talking about like Space Jam, Patrick Ewing, like that.
That's
Or
a different
Coach
breed.
Patrick
Prime
Ewing.
Patrick Ewing was a beast.
Oh,
Yeah.
but he's definitely not the Knicks GOAT. He's not
I mean,
the best of all
Brunson's
time.
dad admitted it.
I know. I was like, man, I want your dad to say that after
Yeah, but
winning
it
a
was-
national championship. It's not true.
Dylan, it's not called the national championship in basketball.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wanted to address that too, but he
It's world champions or finals.
World champions. Sorry,
NBA
finals.
final. Yeah.
But then also that, have you ever heard that argument talking about, who was it? They talked about, it was a track star or something talking about world champions because you don't actually play the world for world champions is like when you talk about the Olympics. Somebody made that statement one time. You ever heard that, Colton?
Yeah, but I think when it comes to the MLB and the NBA, like,
because you have so many foreign
pretty
players.
much the best players in the
Yeah.
world.
Oh, I agree. No, I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I thought I heard that and I was like, I think it was actually some guy from the USA who made that quote.
I've heard people say that.
So, well, hey, Chad, thanks for hopping on here tonight.
No
We
problem,
appreciate you. We'll have you back on. Chad, looks like Mason is MIA. Just don't know where he's at. I don't know. We'll have to check on him after this episode. But if you all are not following us, please give us the follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate y'all listening. And as always, go Cats.
Go Cats.
Okay.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.